Alright, what's up? It's been a minute. I just wanted to go over the matches I played for the final round of Mushi League with our team, the Psychic Guardians, against the Wishing Star Jirachis. So, as you can see, we've got me down here on the bottom left side of the screen, and my opponent I'm playing is Umberto. So, anyways, let's get right into this battle. Alright, so as you can see, my tasteful nickname, Metagross, is going to be leading off against Umberto's Tyranitar. I chose Metagross for this matchup just because I knew that Umberto tended to lead like a lot of things that Metagross was pretty decent into. Honestly, Metagross is pretty decent into a lot of like the lead metagame because you can choice band Explosion on pretty much 90% of it, and Meteor Mash, Tyranitar, Rock Slide, Zapdos. You just have a lot of options, and as the opponent, you kind of have to respect all of them, especially if you know Leftovers or Lumberry isn't revealed yet. So anyways, yeah, so I just go for a Meteor Mash turn run. Not really much drawback to that, and it forces him to reveal some type of information, whether that be a defensive check, Skarmory, as we see here. Typically you're not really gonna see like a Swampert come out turn 2 here, just because it's pretty risky. Like if I go for an Explosion and then I have like an Aerodactyl or something like a DD-Tar in the back, then I can just kind of go to town without much counterplay. But this is fine. I get in my Magneton here. As Umberto, I'm assuming you're expecting Magneton after seeing a non-choice banded Metagross lead, just because I mean that's how most structures work out. Okay, so in comes Charizard. This team has a couple different decent switches into Charizard, one of which being Suicune, which Charizard can't really do much, and I believe I just Surf here, just checking what's coming out here to check me. Pretty easily go right back into Magneton, given that it's Leftovers. I can check this Zapdos. What do I Thunder Wave here? There we go. Yeah, maybe I should have Thunder Waved. Well, I suppose it's fine. I can take this opportunity to get my Claydol in. This Tyranitar is probably Dragon Dance, and honestly, I think Rapid Spin here is a misplay, because I could have just Psychicked and killed this Zapdos, because either Psychic is going to take 24% of Zapdos' HP, or it's going to like low roll or something, and it's going to die to sand regardless. So that's what I think I should have done. And instead, I end up taking 1 HP Grass, 2 HP Grass, and then Zapdos dies. So, honestly, a pretty big misplay on my part there, because now I have one less option for checking Dragon Dance Tyranitar, and because, so that would have done 40%, and then I would have healed another 6%, so I'd be at 66 right now, looking at a Charizard or whatever. There'd still be a spike up though, but I feel like this team doesn't super mind having a spike out, yeah, especially because, you know, it's Salamence and then Blissey is last. So just throwing out a Rock Slide there, catches the Tyranitar switch in. It doesn't catch Flygon. You know, at this point I should have probably been thinking, okay, what are his last? He's gotta have some type of rock resist. So I could have just doubled something like my Blissey into here. That crit really sucks actually, because I would have been able to take 2 Earthquakes and then Ice Beam this, or at least threaten Ice Beam, and he would have had to go to probably Charizard or something like that. The difficult part about this matchup is that my main way of checking this Dragon Dance Tyranitar is Suicune, and because this is a raw defensive Suicune, and Suicune is also my main way of coming into Charizard, because I don't want to take like a substitute Focus Punch on Blissey. I think actually that was probably one of the big misplays that I made in this match, was not using my Salamence to just check Charizard, because Salamence has pretty much a free entry on Charizard, given that I switch in and, you know, he makes a substitute, and then he's gonna have to deal with like having minus attack, and then, you know, I can just go Blissey or whatever, and at -1 Focus Punch is not doing a really whole lot, or he's just gonna like Fire Blast, and I can, or Flamethrower I guess, and I can go Coon or whatever. It just, or I could stand. Yeah, honestly, yeah, that's, I'm thinking about it, it's probably something that I could have done better this game. It's just managing this Charizard, because it's getting to the point where, though I have a full health Metagross and defensive Roarcoon at 70% with Roar and stuff, it's just gonna be a little gross to play around this Dragon Dance Tyranitar, which at this point, how conclusive can we be that it's Dragon Dance? I mean, we gotta think about it, right? Because does this team really need Gengar gone? I mean, we've got Jirachi here. Obviously having Gengar away helps this composition, but this could easily just be Dragon Dance or some type of physical, because no, actually I'm pretty sure this needs to be physical, because the rest of the team doesn't do a super great job of getting rid of different physical wall or special walls. I mean, Charizard can kind of get rid of Blissey, but otherwise this team doesn't really have a great way of dealing with it, unless this is some type of weird mixed Jirachi, which it turns out just to be Calm Mind. And if this is like Calm Mind Fire Punch and I get burned here, it's pretty bad. Honestly, that could have been a little bit of greed on my part. I think turn 15, maybe. Turn 16? I feel like turn 16, if I went Blissey and he Calm Minds, then Blissey can maybe survive that. I guess we can just look up. Hop on the damage calc here and see if Blissey would have actually tanked that. It was something like this. That was against special attack +1. Yeah, so I forget exactly what set I was, but here, I mean, this is literally modest, you know, max defense. This is 0, yeah, this is 0 special bulk Blissey. And it's saying it would do max at like 25%. The only way it would have even come close to that if it was modest. And I mean, oh, game 2. Blissey was still tanking that regardless. So that's probably another big misplay on my part. I guess I just didn't want to take like a body slam or something, figuring that this could have been a mixed Jirachi. But it makes sense here. Another thing I could have done here is I could have also gone to my Salamence. It is a 299 speed Salamence, but it would have forced him to attack it, and it would have sacrificed something that wasn't a Dragon Dance Tyranitar check. Because how I should have been looking at this endgame is I should have been thinking about how I can preserve my Suicune, my Claydol, and my Metagross, because his main ways of getting through my team are Tyranitar, Charizard, and Jirachi. So I suppose as long as I preserve, you know, a couple of these guys and some health on Blissey, then I should be able to pretty much wall this team indefinitely. Yeah, so at this point, it's kind of like I figured out, fuck, like, you know, I just messed up. I sacrificed my Metagross, and I didn't even KO the Jirachi. So now I'm just taking my health, and then I'm gonna KO Jirachi with Seismic Toss. And I honestly, maybe the better play was just to try and duel Jirachi with the Blissey, because if Jirachi isn't at max, I mean, plus 2 psychics doing 30%, so I would have been able to kind of Seismic Toss it down. I guess this team just really kind of is slow, so maybe I gotta think about making Salamence like not Jolly, or wait, not Adamant, Jolly, so that it outspeeds those types of things. But anyways, I'm just wishing here so I can get health back on my Suicune. So that pretty much prevents him from going Tyranitar and immediately Dragon Dancing on Blissey, because every time he does that, I can just click Wish. You know, honestly, maybe there I should have just surfed. So if I surf, he loses roughly half of his health, and he's still praying for a Rock Slide miss, so I don't know. Yeah, I mean, if I surf, it also lets me be able to go Salamence as well, because Rock Slide's doing more than Earthquake, so he's never gonna click Earthquake there. He's gonna click Rock Slide or Double Edge if he has it 100% of the time. So that's what I should have been thinking. And now finally we see Salamence coming into this Charizard. What do I click here? HP Fly. HP Fly is good. And he actually reveals Dragon Claw, which is kind of crazy at this point. And this is where it gets dangerous, because he Dragon Dances, and I have to pray that Blissey takes one so that Suicune can get back up. And he reveals Double Edge, so that kind of sucks. Another misplay here. I should have just gone Salamence, let it die to Sand, and then I could have gone Suicune, surfed twice, and that probably would have been game. But you Yeah, because this is rest, and there's no way this Flygon's ever getting through Suicune. I mean, so Rip the Double Edge does 35%. Go back to the calc here, see what it would have done at neutral. Well, yeah, see what it would have done at neutral. Suicune, we got defensive Raccoon here. I think it was a little more speed investment. Something like that. Yeah, I think it was 244. And Tyranitar. Let's just say bulky Dragon Dance. Yeah, so at neutral, and instead of that we have Double Edge. Yeah, so at neutral it was doing, 21 and 25. And here we see it through 35, so +1, yeah, okay, so 21 and 25%, and we were at 51. So he literally would have had to double high rolled me, and then I would have had to die to sand. I mean, obviously, yeah, could have still happened. Obviously, it wasn't gonna be like easy to get out of this situation. But I feel like if he's -1, I come in, I surf. He's gonna be down to like here, and I'm gonna be down to what, like here, because it does 25 chunk. Then I can just rest, right, and it's mix up. Because if he attacks, I'm down to here, and then I rest. He'd have to Dragon Dance 2 times. He'd Rock Slide. I'd be down to here. If I flinch, I'd be down to here. He'd die to the next surf, and then Flygon would come in, and I'd rest, and I'd win. And that's barring like flinch chances. It's risking a flinch, but way better odds to win than this path. Honestly, well, I mean, 35 is a lot. 35 from killing Kun is a lot. Yeah, I don't know. It would have been hard, but there is definitely still a way to win the game at this point. Yeah, so that was game 1. Maybe not my best played game ever. I should have. I don't know. I feel like I've touched on a lot of the points that I did wrong in that game. All right, so game 2. Hop into it. I got this Zapdos team here. Leads off with Salamence, and I just go to Thunder Wave because I believe this is this is a defensive Zapdos, so I lived Rock Slide anyways. If it was choice ban. Yeah, so Jumpy was telling me that turn 2, instead of going Tyranitar, I should have just gone to my Snorlax right here. The only reason that I didn't do that is because I figured he would Body Slam here, and thinking about it now, that's even more of a reason to go Snorlax. And that's because I'm Curse Snorlax, so I could just have set up on it, and instead I just get Toxicked. That's another thing too, is if I went Snorlax, I can't get Toxicked. So he would have Toxicked into the Snorlax, and then he would have had to spam Fire Punch into it to try and get a burn, and that's not really something you want to be doing, just because you don't want to be screwing with odds like that, especially if like I curse up once and then I just Earthquake and the Jirachi's off the planet, because Earthquake's doing like what, 70% even to like defensive Jirachi. you know, at +1. So anyways, at this point I realized it was mixed elements, so I can just go into my Zapdos pretty much infinitely on it. Gonna opt to Baton Pass here. So as you can see, the situation's kind of dire now because I keep going into Tyranitar to check Jirachi, which Tyranitar is gonna get eventually worn down by Protox. So like even if I can keep coming in here and clicking Focus Punch, making progress on stuff, Tyranitar it's just getting worn down. Yeah, so just throwing out a Psychic. I thought maybe Salamence would want to switch in on an Earthquake or something. Something else would come out. So just gonna Earthquake down this Fortress into Explosion range, and then I'm gonna take my trade for 1 Spike. Alright. At this point, I should have realized that Jirachi was always going to come into the Zapdos, but it's getting harder to bring in Tyranitar against it, which I shouldn't have been doing in the first place. I should have just been going into Snorlax all day against this Jirachi. But I was, you know, concerned that, you know, Fire Punch, and then I would have to Earthquake, and Salamence could come in on that, but I'm already Earthquaking. I'm just doing exactly what I said, but worse, by using Tyranitar. And Tyranitar is already at 50% from all his chip damage. And now it's gonna die because I realized that I need damage on this Claydol for my win condition, which is Agility Metagross. What do I do? Just sub again here? Ooh. I don't know about that. Honestly, I don't really know what that was. So finally Snorlax makes an appearance here. And right into Salamence. Like this was the issue that I was thinking of. Like if he just goes right into Salamence. But if I headed out earlier in the game, I could have just been at +1. Like maybe +2 looking at it, Salamence. And then I could have just Shadow Balled it because my Lex doesn't have any normal attacks other than Self-Destruct because I kind of need Shadow Ball for Gengar and whatever on this team. Earthquake for other stuff. I'm gonna try and duel down the Jirachi, which I shouldn't be doing because this isn't rest. Yeah, and I mean at this point, I feel like Self-Destruct there is a complete throw. I'll let the rest of the game play out just because it's interesting to watch because I actually somehow almost win this. Because Umberto throws really hard. But I think a lot of it was just using the wrong stuff to check the wrong stuff. Because every time Jirachi, every time I try to duel Jirachi with Flax, then Salamence would have to come in. And I can always go Zapdos on Salamence. Even though it's what was I saying? Oh yeah, Restless Zapdos. And then he's just gonna instantly pull a burn off Fire Punch, and this Metagross really isn't gonna be able to do much. Yeah, so when I was talking about how he threw, Claydol should have just came in on this Metagross. And obviously, if I explode on Claydol, it dies. But I think he was thinking that he can just come in with Claydol and then just earthquake me, and then if I go Swampert, then he can explode, and remove my substitute. But instead, what we're gonna see here is, well, yeah, it's in torrent range. It'd be icky even if you went Claydol. So I'm max speed Swampert, so I'm at 240. So at this point he can't go Claydol anymore. Yeah, no, another big misplay here is not actually doing the recover style shenanigans. Now he goes Tyranitar, Surf, and thing barely survives. So, you know, had I gotten the roll on there, I think it was like a 12% or something, to actually KO this Tyranitar, then I would have probably won, because I don't think Claydol is taking a torrent range Surf, and this Jirachi most certainly isn't. He also let his Jirachi get extremely low, which is another big misplay. And then he's just gonna go Jirachi and protect, and then I'll eventually die to Toxic. Yeah, so those were the games that I played. I definitely feel kind of bad about these. There's a lot of things that I could have done a lot better in both of these games, and I feel like a lot of my problems were coming down to just not using the right things when I should. And that's kind of a difficult thing, because I feel like my end games were okay, at least the stuff that I went for. Metagross this early was not ideal, especially when I still had Swampert. But I kind of was just hoping for like a Hail Mary at that point. So I don't know, some close games, especially that game too. I think these were both winnable for me, but you know, GG's well played to Umberto. He definitely used his tools right and positioned himself in a way that he could endgame me pretty well. So I got a couple more videos planned for the future. I'm probably going to be reviewing my winter classic games in much the same vein. I might upload some Titanfall 2 gameplay just because I have a couple of VODs of Titanfall 2 saved. I figured instead of just uploading private, I could just upload those public in case anybody's interested. But I mean, they're mainly for me, just to go and review. So yeah, anyways, like, subscribe, all that if you feel like it. I'll see y'all in the next one.